the old model of security is all about, like the medieval forts. You build a wall around the information and you hope that the wall prevents the attacker from getting to the information. So the
or the moat, right?
or the moat, whatever. But in information technology, the wall or the moat is made of software. And what the academics and the NSA, which is the other entity that knows everything that there is to know about security, recognized was that no matter how tall the wall or how deep the moat, the attacker is going to get through because these walls and moats are made of software and software's got bugs. Mm-hmm. So you're in the software business, you know that patches keep coming for servers and they have been coming for the past 40 years and you'll still be installing patches. So the moment that there is a vulnerability discovered in either the server software or there's a chink in the armor of the firewalls that protect, the attacker exploits it and they will inevitably get to the information. Mm-hmm. Second, legacy systems. And that's how O365 works, Gmail works. The servers see the information and they try to protect you by building walls around it. But ultimately, if the attacker gets to the servers, they see the information. That's the first principle. The second thing that I was educated was that, the information is protected also by this notion called a password. But we all know that they can be easily guessed, you can phish, you can steal them, etc. And so now you give access to accounts remotely because you got a password. Third, they said, look, who's guarding the entire system in an enterprise? And that enterprise's guardian is an admin. But the admin represents what we call a central point of attack. The admin needs access to the information, but if you get to the admin, you get to the whole candy jar and the entire organization's compromised. So that was the old paradigm. And for more or less, the walls are taller and the moats are deeper with GCC and O365, but the paradigm is just the same. What the academics and the NSA say is, if you want real security, you got to assume that the adversary, who is far more sophisticated, it's a state level, sponsored guy, is far more sophisticated than you. They will inevitably, get to the servers, they'll get to the admin, and they'll get to your passwords. Mm-hmm. So how do you protect the information when that happens? And so the NSA guidelines and the academics model is encrypt everything end to end. So as we discussed, that means information is encrypted on your device and can only be decrypted by the recipient, but the server only sees encrypted information. So now, unlike the moat or the wall model, if the attacker gets to the server, all they get is encrypted gibberish, and there's no means for them to decrypt it because they have no keys to decrypt it. The keys are only with the recipient. So that's the first thing. The second is, modern systems like Prevail, and that's what Prevail does, by the way. So when your information's going in a Prevail email or on a Prevail, file share, it's stored on AWS GovCloud, and we, the provider of the system, have no ability to hack it, to look at that information. We're seeing it, but it's encrypted gibberish, and so neither can the attacker. Whereas if you are on,
I was just going to say, so just because people might not be following something. So when you encrypt something, right, it's like the equivalent of a lock on a file, right? And that lock has a password, if you will. And I think what you're saying is that, and a key point for them to understand is that it's where the key is, right? So either it's not locked, and then if I gain access to the system, I have access to it, or it is locked, but if the key is kept in a similar location, so if you have a safe in your house and it has a key, but you keep the safe in your house, an attacker getting into your house is going to get into your safe. So I think what you're saying is that you're storing this data in a location and it's encrypted, and the key to unlock that file is not being kept within that AWS cloud, correct?
That is absolutely correct. Okay. And furthermore, true security comes from the provider of the system, namely us. We designed the system. We should never, ever have the ability to access that key, and we don't. So the keys exclusively belong to the users or the organizations that handle them. And that's a cardinal principle. And so now you've got a system that if the attacker gets to the server, and even if the attacker is a malintended Prevail employee, all they can see is just encrypted gibberish. Whereas what has happened in attack after attack, take the Capital One attack on Amazon services. It was an admin. The admin attacked through a firewall. They got to the server. The information was viewable on the server, and so therefore all the Capital One records were disclosed. So that's the first principle, that keep the information encrypted exactly like you described, John, where the keys are never visible to the server, and therefore the information is secure.
Okay.
And that's why the NSA, in its recent guidance in May, when it basically said, listen, there's the pandemic, people are now working from home, we got to guide government agencies on how to protect information. And so their first criteria was use services that have end-to-end encryption. So that's first principle.